China fields the world's largest navy by hull count and a missile force specifically engineered to keep US aircraft carriers 1,000 miles from its coastline. By 2026, the People's Liberation Army has become something different from what it was even a decade ago. Here is how powerful it actually is. Scale AND structure, the People's Liberation Army is not structured like Western militaries. It does not answer to a defense ministry in the conventional sense. It answers to the Chinese Communist Party directly through the Central Military Commission, which is chaired by Xi Jinping. The party controls the gun that principle has governed the PLA since its founding and shapes everything about how it is organized, how it trains, and how it makes decisions. The active force numbers approximately 2 million personnel across 4 main service branches. The PLA ground force remains the largest single component. The PLA Navy has undergone the most dramatic transformation. The PLA Air Force is modernizing faster than any comparable force on the planet. And the PLA Rocket Force controls the ballistic and cruise missile arsenal that underpins the entire strategy. Supporting all of them is the Strategic Support Force, which consolidates space, cyber, electronic warfare, and information operations under a single command structure. This integration of non-kinetic capabilities alongside conventional forces is one of the defining features of the modern PLA. The doctrine driving all of this is joint operations. The PLA spent decades as a mass army built for territorial defense. What it is building now is a force designed to project power, control information, and win in the first hours of a conflict before an opponent can respond effectively. PLA Navy, the world's largest fleet by hull count. The PLA Navy is the largest navy in the world with approximately 370 combat vessels in service. That number includes nearly 150 destroyers and frigates, around 80 amphibious warfare ships, and 70 to 75 submarines including nuclear-powered vessels. The centerpiece of the carrier program is the Type 003, commissioned as the Fujian. It is China's first domestically designed carrier and the first outside the United States to be equipped with electromagnetic catapult launch systems, the same technology used on the US Navy's Gerald R. Ford class. Electromagnetic catapults allow heavier, more capable aircraft to launch with more fuel and weapons than ski jump carriers permit, and they place less mechanical stress on airframes over time. The Fujian represents a genuine generational step beyond China's first 2 carriers. The Fujian's air wing includes the J-35, a 5th-generation stealth strike fighter with an internal weapons bay that entered low-rate initial production in 2025 and achieved initial operational capability. The carrier air wing also includes the KJ-600 airborne early warning and control aircraft, a critical enabler that gives the carrier group its own organic radar picture independent of shore-based assets. In 2025, sea trials began on what analysts call an assault carrier, the Type 076, an amphibious assault ship uniquely fitted with electromagnetic catapults, allowing it to operate fixed-wing aircraft as well as helicopters and vertical landing aircraft. This capability has no direct equivalent in any other navy. The surface combatant fleet is anchored by the Type 055 destroyer. With 9 in service and 5 more under construction, the Type 055 is a large, highly capable surface combatant with a 112-cell vertical launch system capable of firing a wide range of anti-ship, land attack, and anti-air missiles. It is generally assessed as comparable to the most capable destroyers in any navy. PLA Air Force 5th generation, at scale the PLA Air Force fields approximately 3,300 military aircraft, including nearly 2,000 fighter and attack aircraft. The headline capability is the J-20 stealth fighter. With over 200 J-20s now in service, China operates the largest fleet of 5th-generation combat aircraft in the world outside the United States. The J-20 is a large twin-engine stealth fighter optimized for long-range intercept and the penetration of contested airspace. A two-seat variant entered service in 2025, the only two-seat stealth fighter to have been developed by any nation. Supporting the J-20 are large numbers of J-16 strike fighters, a capable fourth-generation platform with advanced sensors and electronic warfare capability. The H-6 bomber family, including the H-6N variant configured for aerial refueling and the carriage of the JL-1 air-launched ballistic missile, provides the air component of China's nuclear triad. The push towards sixth generation is already underway. Two sixth-generation prototypes, the J-36 and the JXDS, are in active flight testing. In 2025, a second J-36 prototype emerged with notable changes including redesigned exhaust nozzles, revised inlets for improved stealth, and landing gear changes. Neither aircraft has entered production, but both represent the direction China intends to go in the decade ahead. A new generation of loyal wingman, unmanned combat aircraft, collaborative combat aircraft in current terminology, appeared in 2025 alongside fifth-generation manned fighters. Some are assessed as strike and surveillance platforms. Others, sized similarly to a manned fighter, are assessed as capable of independent air combat operations. The KJ-3000, a new airborne early warning and control aircraft based on an improved Y-20 transport airframe with domestic engines and a rotating radar dome, was observed in prototype form in late 2025. It will provide substantially improved capability over existing platforms when it enters service. PLA Rocket Force, the carrier killers. The PLA Rocket Force is the force that most directly shapes US military planning in the Pacific. It controls a comprehensive ballistic and cruise missile arsenal built around one central concept, keeping opposing naval forces far enough away from Chinese territory that power projection becomes prohibitively costly. The DF-21D and DF-26 are anti-ship ballistic missiles designed to strike moving aircraft carriers at ranges of approximately 1,500 and 4,000 kilometers respectively. No other country has deployed this capability at operational scale. Their existence forces any opposing carrier group to operate from ranges at which its aircraft struggle to reach their targets, or accept the risk of operating inside the missile's engagement envelope. The DF-41 is China's premier intercontinental ballistic missile road mobile, with a range of approximately 14,000 kilometers, capable of carrying multiple independently targeted warheads. Its road mobility makes it harder to locate and destroy in a preemptive strike than silo-based systems. The DF-17 is a medium-range ballistic missile fitted with a hypersonic glide vehicle. It maneuvers during its terminal phase at speeds that make interception by existing missile defense systems extremely difficult. The DF-26D, also displayed at the 2025 Victory Day Parade, carries a hypersonic glide vehicle with a reported terminal speed of Mach 12 to 15 and is assessed as capable of engaging moving targets. The CJ-1000 hypersonic cruise missile, flying at above Mach 5 with a reported range exceeding 6,000 kilometers, adds a different threat profile, approaching at lower altitude than ballistic systems and maneuvering throughout its flight path. Nuclear and space. China's nuclear arsenal is expanding faster than at any previous point in its history. The US Department of Defense's annual China Military Power Report assesses the stockpile at approximately 500 to 600 warheads in 2025, with projections toward 1,000 by 2030. The force operates a complete nuclear triad land-based ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles from Type 094 boats, and air-launched ballistic missiles carried by H-6N bombers. Space has become a central domain. China conducted 90 orbital launches in 2025, a record. Approximately half carried military-related payloads covering intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, communications, navigation, and on-orbit anti-satellite capabilities. The on-orbit rendezvous and close approach operations observed in 2025, where Chinese satellites maneuver close to other nations' satellites, represent an active counter-space capability that the US and allied space agencies track continuously. The gaps the PLA's limitations are real and worth stating clearly. The most significant is combat inexperience. The PLA last fought a major conventional conflict in 1979. Its officer and ENCO Corps have no generation of combat veterans to draw on for the kind of institutional knowledge that shapes tactical competence under fire. Systems that perform well in exercises and demonstrations may behave differently in actual combat conditions. China remains dependent on foreign sources for high-performance jet engines, particularly for its most advanced aircraft. Domestic engine development has progressed but has not yet fully replaced imported Russian engines across the force. This creates a potential vulnerability in a sustained conflict. The PLA rocket force has also been subject to significant anti-corruption purges at senior leadership level in recent years, raising questions about the reliability of command structures and whether reported capabilities accurately reflect actual operational readiness. The PLA in 2026 is a large, modern, rapidly improving military built around a coherent, operational concept. It is not the force of 20 years ago. But quantity of modern equipment and proven operational effectiveness are not the same thing. The United States maintains advantages in combat experience, submarine capability, alliance integration, and the kind of institutional knowledge that only comes from decades of operational deployment. The question for the decade ahead is not whether China's military is powerful. It clearly is. The question is whether the gaps that remain narrow fast enough to matter in the scenarios that both sides are quietly planning for.